everyone, welcome to another YouTube tutorial. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can create a website using Flask module in Python. Now, the goal of this video is to give you a finished sample of an e-commerce store. I'll be explaining all the fundamentals and concepts so everybody can follow along. Now, keep in mind that we'll not be focusing too much on the front end because I'll be using Bootstrap for decency. Anyways, let me give you a quick demo of the project. So this is the home page. You can see you have 5 products here. You can search for products from here. So you have the smartwatch, and we also have the cart, the wish list, and account. So I'm going to log in. So this is the login page, and also you can access the sign up page from here. I'll create a new account using Mac at gmail.com. Then the username is Mac, and the password is 123456. So that account is created successfully and we are redirected to the login page. So I'm going to log in. Now notice that if I provide the incorrect password for this account, I am not logged in. So the password was 123456 and login. So we are redirected to the home page, and from the account you can see you have additional tabs. We have the profile, orders, and logout. So from profile you can see user, you can see Mac's username and his email. You can also change the password from here. And in orders, Mac has no orders. And so I'm going to check Mac's cart. You can see his cart is empty. So I'll add one product to his cart, which is this smartwatch. So the smartwatch has been added successfully, and you can see the quantity here reflects. So I can click on the cart, and I can also increase the quantity and it reflects here respectively. Now if I click on place order, I'm going to get an SDK push on my phone asking me to pay Kenya shillings 1200 plus a flat rate shipping fee of 200 shillings. So I'm going to click on place order. You can see that the order has been placed successfully and the order status is pending. And you can also see that I've got an SDK push on my phone asking me to pay Kenya shillings 1400. Okay, I'm not interested in paying for this, so I'm going to cancel it. Now you can see that the order status is pending, and once the payment has been confirmed by the site administrator, they can change the order status from pending to maybe out for delivery or delivered or maybe cancelled. So I'm going to open another browser window and log in as the administrator. It's localhost 4000 and login admin at gmail.com, then the password for the admin. So this is the admin account. He is also redirected to the home page. Now from here I can access the admin page. And you can see a couple of roles that the admin can perform. You can view customers, see you have Mac, and you can also view shop items. You have 6 products in our shop. You can also add shop items, and you can view orders. So this is the last order from Mac, and the status is pending. So I'm going to update the status from pending to out for delivered. Now if I go back to Mac's window, and refresh, you can see that the order status has changed from pending to out for delivery. I can as well change it to delivered from here. And it reflects respectively. Now, if I try accessing the admin page from here, admin, you see we get a 404 error because Mark is not an administrator for the site. So you cannot perform administrative tasks. So that's it for the project demo. I hope you guys are excited about the project, and as usual, the most I ask from you is to like the video and subscribe to the channel for some motivation. And if you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the comment section below. Okay, let's get started. So we'll begin by installing all the project dependencies and the basic directory setup. I have created a folder called Flask Ecom, and I have a virtual environment inside it and a min.py file. Now you might have noticed that I have my project open in VS Code and PyCharm. I will be using VS Code to write the front-end code, and I'll use PyCharm to write the back-end functionality. So you'll often see me switching between VS Code and PyCharm. Anyways, that's just an issue of preference. You can use an IDE or editor of your choice. So inside our terminal, we'll open the virtual environment. You can see it's the VN, and we will install the first dependency. So the first dependency is Flask, and the next one is Flask login. The last one is Flask SQL Alchemy. We'll use Flask to create a web application, and Flask login is for user authentication. Flask SQL Alchemy is for our database tables and models. So once you have installed our dependencies, the next thing is setting up our project directory. So we are going to create a new folder called website inside Flask Ecom. Website is going to house all the source code for the project. So I'm going to create two more directories inside website, and the first one is for static files and another one for templates. So the static files will be JavaScript, CSS, and some images. The templates are the HTML files. And I'll create some Python files. __ init __ init. And the next one will be called admin and auth and views forms and the last one is called models. So the init.py file is going to make our website. The init.py file is going to make the website folder a Python package. The admin.py file is going to contain all the code related to administration, like viewing shop items and updating orders. Auth.py file is going to contain all the code related to authentication. And views.py is going to contain the URL endpoints and routes. The forms.py file is going to contain the forms required for user interaction, like the login form, the sign up form, and so on. Models.py file is going to contain the tables for our database. So inside static, we need a directory for JavaScript files, and we also need another one for images and another one for CSS. So this one is for JavaScript, for CSS, and the last one for images. It should be images. So I already have some images and JavaScript files, so I'm just going to copy and paste them here. So for JavaScript, we have all.me.js, jQuery, and allcarousel.me.js. For CSS, we have all.me.css, bootstrap, forms, all.carousel, and style.css file. The last one is we are going to paste the images. So we have a couple of images. I'll show you them in VS Code. This is the first one. Be using them. So everything is set up, and the next thing is we're going to begin writing our source code. Now, before we begin, it's worth mentioning that I'll leave a GitHub link in the description for the source code and the resources used in this project. So inside our init.py file, we're going to initialize our Flask application. So from Flask, import Flask, and then we write a function to initialize our Flask application. Def create _app, and our app will be equals to Flask __name. So this is how you initialize a Flask application. And for each Flask application, you have a config variable called the secret key. Secret _key. And this one will be equals to a bunch of random strings. Now the function of this is it will be encrypting our session data for authentication and so on. Now in production, you didn't want to share the value of the secret key. So the next thing is we're going to return our Flask application. And to run our Flask server, we'll go inside main.py, which is outside the website folder, which is now a Python package. And we're going to import create app from website. Create app. So create app is this function here. And our app will be equals to create app. And then to run our Flask server, we'll use if __name __ is equals to main app.run. And then we'll set debug to true. Debug. Now, for some reason, you might import main.py file from admin, auth, or views, and that would result in creating another instance or running another instance of the Flask server, and we don't want that to happen. So what this statement here means is we are going to run our web server if and only if we are running the main.py file. And debug equals true means that every time we make changes to our source code, the web server is going to restart. You also have other arguments here like the host, which can be set to an IP like 192.168.0.1, but I'm going to leave mine to the default, which is the local host. And you can also specify the port. You can put maybe 88, but the default port is 5000. So I'll leave everything to the default form. So I'm going to run the main.py file. You can see here it's main. And the web server has started at 127.2.2.1 at port 5000, which is the same as localhost port 5000. Localhost 5000, and you can see our web server is up. So the next thing is we need to create URL endpoints within our Flask application, and you're going to do that inside views.py file. So from Flask, import blueprint with a capital B, then views is equals to, then views underscore name underscore. So this statement tells Flask that views.py is a Python file containing a bunch of routes or other URL endpoints. You'll see what that means as we go on with the video. So I'm going to create the first URL endpoints, and I'm going to use this views here to create a decorator for our function. So at views.route, then this is the root, then the function dev home, then I'm going to return a string. This is the home page. So I'll also make admin and auth blueprints for our application. So I'll copy this and go to admin. I'll change this to admin and admin. And for auth, I'll do the same. Auth. Now, before you can use these URL endpoints inside our Flask application, we need to register them inside the init.py file. That is, we need to tell Flask that inside views blueprint, we have several routes or URL endpoints. So before the return statement, I'm going to import these. I'll import admin. I'll also import auth and views blueprints. So from views, import views, and from .views, let me put .views, then from .auth, import auth, and the last one is from .admin, import admin. Then we register these blueprints for our application. And to register the blueprint, we'll be using the app variable. So app.register blueprint, then the name of the blueprint. The first one is views, and then the URL prefix equals to route. Then you also register auth and admin. So the URL prefix simply defines how you access the URLs inside auth, admin, or views. So I'm going to create a route inside auth for the login. So at auth.route. Then this one will be login. Then the function def login. Then you return this is the login page. I'll create another one for sign up. Then you return, change the name of the function to sign_up. This is the sign up page. So the idea is whenever you go to /login, this function will be executed, or whenever you go to /signup, this function is the one that will be executed. And back to the init.py file, the URL prefix defines how you access routes inside the views, auth, or admin blueprint. Now for views, to access any route inside views, I'll have to go to localhost, and then the port is 5000, then / maybe orders, or /cat, or /about us, -us. Now for auth, if I put /auth here, I'll have to go to localhost, port 5000, and then /auth, maybe login, or sign up, or maybe change password. Now, to explain that, I'll open the browser and refresh. You can see this is the home page because this is the route. Now, for the login page, I'll have to go to /auth /login. You can see that this is the login page. And for sign up, go to /auth /sign-up. You can see this is the sign up page. If I remove this, I'll have to go to localhost 5000 and then /login to access the login page. Now for application, you're not interested in returning basic text like this is the home page or this is the login page and so on. So the next thing is you're going to design the base template that will be extended by all the templates inside our web application. So inside VS Code and inside the templates directory, I'm going to create a new file and call it base.html. Then this one is the base. So we need some bootstrap styles. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And we also need some icons from Font Awesome. Now for Font Awesome, I think you'll have to sign up and this unique value here will be generated for your account. and we also need some icons from Bootstrap. It's this one, so I'm going to copy it and paste it here. The next thing is we need to link our CSS files. So we'll be linking all.me.css, bootstrap, and style.css. And then you're going to define our title. So this one is Amazon. Then I'll put a separator. Then some Ginger templating styles. We code block title. Then end block. So what this does is whenever I create another template that extends the base.html template, it's going to fetch the title dynamically using this part. So if it's the home page, it's going to be Amazon, then home. If it's the cart page, it's going to be cart. If it's the orders, orders. And then you're going to define the body. We want the style for this one to be, we want the background for this one to be purple. So the next thing is we need to see how this template looks like. I'm going to import render template to help us render HTML files. And instead of returning this is the home page, I'm going to return render template and then base.html, which is here, base.html, localhost 5000. So you can see it's purple in color and you have Amazon here. So I think we need a navbar for this one. So this is the navbar section source code. You can see it's some HTML. And then now if you go to localhost 5000 and refresh, you can see you have a navbar. And about us, contact us, you have a search form, the cart, and the wish list. You also have a drop down in the account section with profile, orders, logout, and login. And the next thing is we need another section just below the navbar where we'll be flashing our messages. So after the navbar, we are going to flash all the messages. Now notice that I am using double curly brackets here and I'm using a single curly brackets and a %sign here. Now this one is used to display variables while this one is used for general statements like the if and for loops. And then I'm also going to put a button. And then after the block for message alerts, I'm going to put a main body. All templates that will be extending base.html will provide their own definition for the body. So, and the last thing is we need a footer. So this will be our footer. And before we finish up with the base template, we need to link our JavaScript files. So that's it for the base template. Now if I refresh here, you can see you have the footer here and everything is set up. So all the templates that will be inheriting from the base.html template will be providing their own definition for the body that will appear in between here, between the footer and the navbar. So the next thing is we're going to design the home template to display some shop items. So inside templates, I'm going to create a new file called home.html. and then this one will be extending base.html. So I'll put single curly brackets and then type extends base.html. Notice that the name of base.html is in single quotes. So I'm going to provide a title for this one. So block title. So this one will be the home page. Then I'll close this. And then I'll provide a definition for the body. Now, inside PyCharm, instead of returning base, I'm going to return home.html for the home page. So now if I refresh, you can see you have home here. And the next thing is we need to add some items in between the navbar and the footer. So inside our body, I'm going to paste some code. So this basic HTML for styling. And now if we refresh here, you can see you have this section. You also have this one, and this one. So the next thing is we need to display the shop items. So after this div, I'm going to create another div for the shop items, and class will be container. So now if we refresh here, you can see we have this one product here, and I'm going to change this image. So yeah, so I'm going to add 4 more products inside this div. So I'm going to copy this div and duplicate it. So those are 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now if I refresh, you can see you have all these products here. So the next thing is we need to fetch these items dynamically from our database. So we'll have to create tables inside our models.py file. Now before we start creating the tables, we have to initialize a database variable. So inside init, we are going to import SQL Alchemy. So from Flask SQL Alchemy, import SQL Alchemy. Then our database will be equals to SQL Alchemy. So in models, we're going to import from dot, we'll import the db variable. Then from Flask login, import user mixin. Then you also need date time. From date time, import date time, and our last import will be, no, we can do that as we go on with the project. So we're going to create the first table for our customers. So class customer, then this one extends db.model and user mixin class. So db.model is this db here, and user mixin is going to allow us to use Flask login for user authentication. And we need a primary key for each customer. So the ID will be equals to db.column. Then the primary key will be an integer. So db.integer, set primary key to be true. And the next we need an email field for the customer. So db.column. This one is a string with a max length of 100 characters, and all the emails should be unique. And the next field will be the username. So db.column. This one is a string of 100 characters. And then we also need the password hash for our customers. So password underscore hash. And then this one is db.column. This one will be a string of 150 characters. So db.string 150. And the last field will be the date joined, because we need to keep track of when customers join our shop. So date underscore joined be equals to db.column, and then db.date time, and then you set the default to datetime.utc now. So the next thing is we need a method that will be helping us to set the password hash. So we'll be using the property decorator. For those of you who are not familiar with the property decorator, I'm going to take a few seconds off and explain to you what it does. So if suppose we have a class called person, and inside person you have the init function, which takes the self and name arguments and sets dot underscore name. So if you're familiar with programming languages like Java and C++, you'd want to have accessor methods, that is getters and setters, to interact with the name attribute. Now in Python you can write getters and setters, but there is a more smart way of doing that using the property decorator. I'm going to use the property decorator to write our getters and setters. So at property and then def name. So this one is our getter. This one takes the self argument, then it returns the value of name. So self dot underscore name. And then we're going to write the setter for the name attribute. So at name, that is the name of the function, which is here, dot setter, and then def name, which takes the self argument and a name argument. And then we set the self dot underscore name, which is our private variable, to the value of the argument provided here. So now if you have an instance of person1, which is equals to person, and the name of this person is John, I can do person1 dot name. You see it's John. I can also do person1 dot name equals to maybe Mike. And now if I do person1 dot name, I'm going to get Mike. So the property decorator allows you to use the name of this function as if it's a data attribute. Now we are going to use the property decorator to set our password hash. So we're going to define a function called password, and add property, then def password, and for our passwords we don't want people to be able to read them, so we are going to raise an attribute error. And tell them that password is not readable attribute. And then the next one, we need the setter for our password. So at password dot setter, then def password, then this one takes the self argument and a password argument. Then we set the password to be self dot password hash will be equals to the password hash of this password generated here, of this password provided here. So to generate a password hash, the password hash, we'll be using a method defined in this package from .security import generate password hash and check password hash. So this one comes with Flask login. So if you already installed Flask login, you should have these ones installed as well. Is equals to generate password hash, then you feed this password argument. And then the last thing is we need an inbuilt method to verify our passwords. So we code def verify underscore password. Then this one will take the self argument and a password argument. So this one is going to return a Boolean value depending on whether the provided password is correct or wrong. So if it's correct, it's going to return true. If it's incorrect, it's going to return false. So return check password hash, then self password hash against the password provided here. Password equals the password. So self.password hash is this attribute, and then the password is the password provided during logins. So the last thing is we need a string method for our class. So this one is going to return a readable form of our class. So return customer, then maybe we're going to format this. So what this one will do is, if we try accessing the customer, an instance of the customer, like maybe if we have customer 1 and we print out the value, like maybe if we have customer 1 and we try printing out the value of customer 1 using the print statement, this one is going to print out the ID here. So it's going to print out customer. It's going to print customer and then 1 this way. If it's customer 2, it's going to change the value here to customer 2. If it's customer 3, this one will change to 3, and so on. So our next table will be the product table, that is for the shop items. So class product, and this one extends db.model. And then for each product we need an ID, which is db.column. Then the ID is an integer, so db.integer. Then we set the primary key to be true. And the product name, so db.column, then db.string. This one is going to have 100 characters and is set nullable to be false. The current price, db.column, db.float field. And then we'll also set this one to be the nullable to be false. I'm going to copy this and paste for the previous price. And the next field will be in stock to keep track of the number of items. db.column, this one is an integer. And you'll also set this one to have nullable to be false. And you also need a product picture. So this one will be a string. You'll see the reason as to why I'm putting a string field here as we go on with the project. So this one will have 1,000 characters. And then you set nullable to false. And flash sale underscore sale db.column, and this one is a boolean value, and we'll set default to be false. And the last field will be the date added, be db.column, and then db.date time. Set default to be equals to the datetime.utc now. And for this one we also need a string function to return a human readable form of the product. And then you also need another table for the cart items. So class cart, this one extends db.model, and the ID for the cart will be an integer, so db.column, then db.integer. The last attribute is quantity, and we'll also provide a string method for this. And our last table will be the order table, so class order, and the price of the order, db.integer, db.column, sorry, then db.inte, this one should be float, set nullable to be false. And the order status, db.column, db.string, then is going to have 100 characters. We set nullable to be false. And the last attribute is we need we need a payment ID underscore ID to keep track of payments. So payment ID is a db.column, and then the type of this one is a string with 1,000 characters, and we'll set nullable to be false. And we'll also provide a string method for this. Now we have all our tables set up, and before we can create, now we have all our tables set up, and before we can create the database, we need to set up the relationships between these tables. So a customer can have items in their cart, and they can also have orders. And a product can be in a cart, and it can also be in an order. So the first relationship here is we are going to link the customer to the cart. So cart underscore items will be db.relationship, and then the cart table. Notice that this one is an uppercase C for the cart table. And then I'll set a backref equals to db.backref. And then customer, I'll also set lazy to be true. And inside our cart table, we need to link this relationship. So I'm going to provide a customer link. So customer underscore link, and this one will be db.column, db.integer, and this one is a foreign key, so db.foreign key, and this one references the customer table, this one. So I'll put customer.id. Now notice that this one is a lowercase c, and I'm going to set nullable to be equals to false. Now the reason as to why I put db.integer here is because the primary key for the customer is an integer. Yeah. Now back to the cart items. The backref parameter here means that I can access the customer table from the cart using this value here. So if I have cart item 1 here, cart underscore item underscore 1, I can do cart item 1 dot customer, and then any attribute within the customer table. You can see you have email, and the username and so on. So that is what the backref parameter does. And the next one is lazy parameter. So the lazy parameter defines how SQL Alchemy will load related data. In this case, it means that the related data will be loaded when accessed rather than using it all at once. Now, with that in mind, your specification of the lazy parameter can significantly affect the performance of your app depending on your data access patterns. So we also need to link the orders from the customers and the order table. So I'm going to provide another order. So orders will be equals to db.relationship. Then this one is going to reference the order table. No order. Then I'll also set the backref for this. This one is customer. And I'll set lazy to be true. So I'll provide the link for this inside the order table. So customer underscore link is equals to db.column. Then this one is a foreign key. Then db.foreign key. This one references customer.id. And we'll set nullable to be false. So from here, if I have order item 1, so order underscore item underscore 1, can do order item 1 dot customer dot the email, the username, and all the other attributes. So I'm going to put them here. Let me just put them in a comment. So customer, and inside the cart table as well. So customer. And the next thing is we need to link the product table to the cart and the order. So a product can be in a cart or a product can be in an order. So I'm going to create the relationship here. So carts will be equals to db.relationship. So cart, then you set the backref as well. Backref equals to db.backref product. Then I'll also set lazy to be true. So I'll link the relationship for this inside the cart table. So product underscore link will be equals to db.column, and then db.integer. Then this one is a foreign key. This one references product.id. Then I'll also set nullable to be false. So from the cart table, if I have cart item 1 underscore item underscore 1, I can do cart item 1 dot product, then dot maybe product name, product picture, ID, in stock, and so on. So I'm going to add product here. And the last relationship will be for orders. So db dot relationship, this one references the orders table, the order table. Then the backref be equals to db dot backref. So this one will be products, and I'm going to set lazy true. So inside orders, I'll create the product link. So product underscore link equals to db dot column. Then this one is integer. So db dot foreign key. So this one is product dot id. And I'm going to set nullable to be false, equals false. So we have the relationships set up. So inside init.py file, we need to provide a config variable for the database. And before that, I'm going to create a variable for the database name. So db underscore name is equals to database, and then SQLite 3. And then I'm also going to define a function to create our database. So def create underscore database, and then I'll use db dot create all. Then after that, I'm going to print database created. So inside our create app function, I'm going to provide another config variable for the database. So this one is called SQL Alchemy Database URI. And then the value of this one is an F string of SQLite for colon 3 forward slashes, and then the value of the database name. And then after that, we need to initialize our database with the app. So db dot init app. Then I provide the app. So after that, I'm going to call the create database function just before the return app to create our database. So I'll use a context manager. So app dot app context. Then I'll call create database function. So I'm going to stop this and I restart it. Okay, you can see that the database has been created successfully and we can now start using it. So the next thing is you're going to add user authentication to our Flask application so that we can create an admin account that will be performing administrative tasks like adding shop items. So inside forms.py, we'll be designing the login and the sign up form. We'll be using Flask forms from Flask form. Now, Flask forms have built-in validators that will help us in data validation. Therefore, they'll save us the hassle of having to write a bunch of if-else statements. So we'll import Flask forms. So from Flask underscore what the form, import Flask form. So we'll have to install this dependency in Flask what the form. So after that we'll need some fields. So from what the forms, import, we need the string field, we'll need an integer field, a float field, a password field, an email field, a boolean field, a submit field, and we'll also need some validators. So from what the form dot validators, import data required, length, and maybe number range. So we'll design the sign up form, and then this one extends the Flask form. The email will be equals to email field, and the label is the email, and the validators will be a list of data required only. The next one is the username. This one is a string field. The label is the username, and the validators is a list of data required. You'll have a main length of 2 characters. Then password 1, the password field. So this one is, the label is enter your password, and the validators is a list of data required and a mean length of 6 characters. So this one is password 2, and then confirm your password, and the last one is submit field. It should be equals to submit field, then the label is sign up. So the next one is the login form. This one extends Flask form as well. So here we only need the email, which is equals to, and the next one is the password and a submit field. So inside auth.py, we already have these 2 routes defined. I'm going to import the login and the sign up form. Our form will be equals to the sign up form, and instead of returning this text, we're going to return a template. So render template, then this one is called sign up and our form. So we need to design a signup.html template inside our templates. So in VS Code, I'm going to create a new file and call it forms.html. So our login form and our sign up form will extend forms.html. So forms.html is similar to base.html. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here, but instead of style.css, I'm going to put forms, which is this CSS file here, forms.css. Then you also need a body for this one, and the body is similar to this one. We need to alert the users of what is happening. So I'm going to copy all this and I'll paste it here. So this is the base template for our login and our sign up form. So I'm going to create the sign up form. So signup.html extends forms.html, and I'm going to provide the definition for the title. Then I'll also provide the definition for the body. So this is the sign up. After that, we have the form for the sign up. So form, I'm going to delete action and set the method to post. So inside the form, you can see we have this form passed here. So whenever we return render template signup.html, the value of form will be passed from the backend to the front end here. So in the front end, I can access the value of form using double curly brackets. So I can do forms. Is it forms or form? It's form. Form dot hidden underscore tag. So this one is for the CSRF token, and then we'll also display the email. So, and then I will access the value of the email using form dot email. So I'll copy this and paste for the username. Then you also need the password. And then you also need the confirm password. Password to, and then the last one is we need to put a div for the submit button and redirecting to the login page. So we'll also design the login template. So I'm going to create a new file and call it login.html. So this one is the same as sign up, but we'll change. Okay, this one should be sign up for the sign up page. And then we'll change this one to login section start. And then here we'll change to login to start shopping. And here we only need two fields, the email and the password. And instead of redirecting to the login page, I'm going to redirect to sign up page, sign-up. So that's it. And inside our auth.py, we can return render template login.html, and then the form will be equals to form. The form here is equals to the login form. So okay, now if I go to /login, this is the login page. I think there is an issue here. After this, we need an HR. Okay, so I'm going to paste the HRs here. And then you also need the text for login. And inside login, I'm going to put these ones and some text for sign up. Now if I refresh and go to login, yeah, you can see you have the email and the password field. If I click on sign up, you are redirected to sign up page, and if I click on login, you are redirected to the login page. I think we don't have this field, so it's password. So I'm going to refresh and I'll try feeding some data here. I'll log in. So see, get method not allowed. Now the reason as to why we get this is because post methods are not allowed in our URL, that is the login URL. Now to solve this, we'll come to login and set the methods, the allowed methods to post and get. I'll also do this for sign up. So for sign up, we need to collect user inputs during post requests. So I'm going to use form. So if form.validate on submit. So this one means if it's a post request, I'm going to collect the data for each and every field in our form. So the email field will be equals to form dot email dot data. The username will be equals to form dot username dot data. Then the password one will be equals to form dot password one dot data, and the last one is password 2. Now data validation will automatically happen here using this method, the form.validate on submit. So we'll not have to write a bunch of if-else statements to check whether the email is valid or the username has the required characters. So after that, we need to check if password 1 is equals to password 2. Password 1 is equals to password 2. We'll go ahead and create a new customer in our database. And to do that, we are going to import the customer. We're going to import the customer class from out.py. So from .models import customer. So we'll create a new customer. So new underscore customer will be equals to customer, and then we'll set the new customer. We'll set the email for the new customer to be equals to this value here, is equals to email and new customer dot username be equals to the username, and the password new customer dot password will be equals to password 2. So what happens when we call new customer dot password equals password 2 is the setter method for our customer is called, and the password hash for this particular customer is initialized with a password hash for the supplied password. Okay, I hope you have understood that. And the next thing is you're going to add this customer to the database. So I'm going to use a try block here. So try db. We need to first import the database from init.py. So db. So we're going to do db.session.add, then the new customer, and then we'll commit those changes. So db.session.commit, and then we will flash that the account has been created successfully, and we are going to redirect them to the login page. So we need to import flash and redirect. So here, import flash and redirect, and if an error occurs, accept exemption as A, we are going to print that exemption, and then we'll flash that that account has not been created. And in that case, it would mean that the email already exists. And then after that, we set the form dot email dot data to be an empty string. I'll do that for the username, password 1 and password 2. So that's it for the sign up. The next thing is we are going to write functionality for login. So if it is a post request, if form dot validate on submit, then we need to collect the email field, which will be equals to form dot email dot data, and the password will be equals to form dot password dot data. And then before we log them in, we need to check if this particular customer exists. That is, if this account exists in our database. So we'll use customer is equals to the customer dot query dot filter by underscore by, and then we are getting the customer that has this particular email. So email equals email dot first. Now remember that our emails were unique, so we cannot have multiple customers with the same email. And then if this account exists, that is, this customer has an account within our database, we're going to check if the password provided is correct. So if customer, we're going to check the password, otherwise we'll tell them that their account does not exist. So else we'll tell them that, we'll flash a message, tell them that the account does not exist. So if the customer exists within our database, we are going to check if the provided password is correct. So we'll use if customer dot verify password, then we provide the password to be this one. Now remember, this function here returns a Boolean value, that is, it returns true if the password provided in the login form is the same as the one provided in sign up. Now if the two passwords do not match, it's going to return false. So we were here. So if customer.verify password, and if the password is correct, we are going to log in the customer. So log in underscore user, and then we'll provide the customer, and we redirect them to the home page. That is the route. Otherwise, we'll tell them that their password is incorrect. So we'll flash incorrect email or password. So we need to import login user from Flask login. So from Flask login, import login user. And after login, we also need to provide a logout function. So at auth.route, and then this one is logout, and we provide the definition for the function. So log underscore out, and to log out you'll have to be logged in, so we'll also import login required and logout user. So at login required, I'll have to put that decorator there, and then I'm going to log out the user and redirect them to the return redirect. And I also need to put a return statement here. Now, before you can use user authentication, we need to add a login manager inside init.py. And we also need to load our databases. So I'm going to import all our models. So from .models, import customer, cart, and product, and the last one is order. And the next thing is we need to add a login manager within the init.py file. So to do that, I'm going to import login manager from Flask login. And after db.init, I'll initialize the login manager. So login underscore manager will be equals to login manager, and login manager dot init app, provide our application. And the next thing is we are going to set the login view for our login. So login manager dot login view be equals to auth dot login. And after that, we need to provide the user loader function. So at login manager dot user loader, then the float underscore user, this one takes an ID and returns customer dot query get. So the login manager is for session management, that is to keep track of anybody who has logged in, and also to keep track of their access tokens. We initialize our login manager with our application here, and this statement here tells our login manager where the login view is located. So in our case, it's auth.login. So it's auth, and then there's a function called login, this one. And then the last part is the user loader. So the user loader loads a user based on a unique identifier, that is the primary key of the user. And then after doing that, it retrieves the user object for the current session. Okay, I think we're done with the authentication part. So I'm going to stop this and restart it. Okay, additional argument should be provided. App equals create app. I think it's a typo error inside our customer table. So in models, inside the customer, this one should be default, not default. So I'm going to init.py and uncomment this so that you can create the database table again. I'm also going to delete this instance to make sure our database is created again. So I'm going to rerun our application. We have another typo, product link, line 54. That one should be integer. Okay, let me rerun. Oh yeah, you can see the database has been created successfully. So the next thing is I'm going to link these URLs in our front end. So in base.html, in our navbar, you have login and logout sections. So this one is /login, and this one is /logout. Yeah. So now if I refresh, let me create a new tab and go to localhost 5000. Now from this section here, I can go to login page, can as well go to the sign up page. So I'm going to create the first user, which is the administrator account. So the email address for the admin is admin@gmail.com. The username is admin, and the password is 123456 and 123456. So I'm going to sign up the admin, and you can see account created successfully. You can now log in. So I'm going to log in the admin account and then I'll provide the wrong password and see what happens. So incorrect email or password. So I'm going to provide the correct password, which was 123456, and login. So we are now logged in. We can also log out and we are redirected back to the home page. So I'm going to log in again. So admin. So we need to filter these tabs here depending on whether a customer is logged in or not. So if somebody is logged in, they should see the profile section, the orders, and the logout. If they are not logged in, they should only see the login tab. And to do that, you're going to go in our HTML, and just before these list items, I write some Ginger templates. So if current underscore user dot is underscore authenticated, so they are going to see these tabs. Otherwise they will see the login section. So else they'll see this, and I'm going to end my if statement. So I'm going to refresh. Now you can see you only see the profile, orders, and logout. So if I log out, I'm going to only see the login tab. The next thing is we need to work on the profile section, where somebody can see their profile and change their passwords. So after logout, I'm going to create another route. This one is /profile, and then slash int full colon customer underscore ID. Now the part after the profile allows us to make the URL dynamic. That is, we can have profile for first customer, that is profile for maybe customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, customer 4, customer 5, and so on. Now with this, we can share a common template for all the customers within our website. And the next thing is, to view the profile, you have to be logged in. So you have to provide this decorator here, the login required. Then you provide the definition for the profile view function. So def profile, and then here we are going to take the value of the customer ID. So if we put this inside our URL, we can access the value of customer ID from our function inside the argument list. So I can access customer ID here, and then after that I can also print out the value of customer ID, and then I will return some text. So to use this route in the front end, I'll have to provide the same syntax in the front end. So I'm going to put profile, so slash profile, and then slash. So now if I refresh, the site can't be reached. What's up? I'm going to rerun it. And I think I also need to comment out this because you don't need to create the database again. So I'm going to refresh, and if I go on the profile, on the left side you can see localhost 5000 and then slash profile and then slash 1. If it was the second account, you could see localhost 5000 profile slash number 2. So if I click on profile, you can see customer ID is 1. And if I log out and log in with the second account, 56 login. So here if I click on profile, you can see that customer ID is 2. So instead of returning this text, we need to return a profile template. So I'm going to return render template. Then this one is profile.html. We don't need this, so I'm going to delete it. And I'm also going to fetch the customer so that we can display their profile. So customer equals customer.query, and then we get them by the customer ID. And then I'm going to pass the customer here. So inside our templates in VS Code, I'm going to create a new file for the profile, which will be called profile.html. Then the body and block. So we are going to design the template for the customer, and the class for this one is container. Okay, that's it for the profile section. So now if we go to our site and refresh, we can go to the profile for this particular user and see we have profile and change password. So for change password, I'm going to design a form for changing the password inside forms.py. So inside forms.py, our password change form. So to change the password, you need the current password. So I'll copy this paste for new password, and I'll also paste for confirm new password. And the last thing is we need the change password button. So in views.py, or rather in auth.py, after the profile section, we are going to define the route for changing the password. And this one is an integer of the customer ID. And then the methods for this are get and post, because we'll be posting data. That is, we'll be changing passwords. And to change the password, you have to be logged in. So at login required, and provide the definition to change the password. Change password. Then we pick this customer ID to get the customer that we want to change the password for. So for this, you're going to return the change password template. And before that, we need the change password form. So we'll import it here. So change password change form. And our form will be equals to password change form. And return render template change password.html, and our form will be equals to form. So in VS Code, you're going to create another template called change password.html. So change password.html is going to extend base. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here. So we're going to design our change password form, and now these values here are the same as the values in the form. The current password, new password, confirm new password, and change password. The change password form template is set up. So I'm going to link it in the profile. So the URL for changing the password is change password and then the customer ID. So I'm going to copy this, and then I will paste it here for change password. And then after that, there will be a dynamic value of the customer ID. So now if I refresh on this, if I click on change password, we get this HTML template for changing the password. It looks ugly, but the functionality is what matters. Anyway, it looks kind of ugly. So I think we need to make some changes. This one should be SM. And I'm going to refresh, and it looks better now. We're going to check if the data is validated. So if we're going to check if the data submitted by the user is valid. So if form.validate on submit, we're going to collect the current password, the new password, and the confirm new password field. And then before we can change this password, we need to verify that the current password provided by the user is actually correct. And to do that, we'll first have to query the database and get the particular instance of this customer. So the customer will be equals to customer.query. We're going to get the customer with this customer ID. So before you can change the password, we are going to verify. So if customer.verify password, and then you provide the current password. So depending on what is returned by this function, we are going to change the password or tell the customer that the current password provided is incorrect. So if customer.verify password is true, we are going to go ahead and check if the two new passwords match. Otherwise, we're going to tell the customer that the current password provided is incorrect, so we'll flash. So if the password is correct, we'll check if new password and confirm new password are matching. So if new password is equals to confirm new password, you're going to set the password for this particular customer to be the new password provided. So we'll use customer.password confirm new password, and then we'll commit these changes to the database. So db.session.commit, and then we'll tell them that the password has been updated, and we return redirect to the profile page. That is an f string profile, so slash profile, and then the customer ID. Otherwise, you'll tell them that the new passwords do not match. That is if new password is not equal to confirm new password. So for this, the URL is dynamic. If it is customer one changing the password for their profile, after the update is successful, they'll be redirected to their profile. If it is customer 2, they'll be redirected to their profile, and so on. So we're done with changing passwords. So we're going to test it in our browser. Localhost refused to connect, so I'll restart the server, and you can see it's up. So I'm going to provide the wrong password and try changing it. See, current password is incorrect. So I'll provide the correct password 1234566, and the new password will be ABC123 ABC. Let's mismatch them. New passwords do not match. Okay, so I'm going to provide the correct password and match the new passwords. So ABC123 and ABC123. So change password. So the password is updated successfully, and we are redirected back to the profile for this particular account. So I'm going to log out and log in with another account. So profile, and I'm going to change the password for Mac 123456. I'm going to change it to ABC123 and ABC123. Click on change password, and the password has been changed successfully. And we also redirected back to the profile section for Mac. So that is what this part does. So I think we are done with user authentication, and the next thing is we are going to write code related to administration. That is adding shop items and viewing them dynamically inside our shop. Now, up to this point, the products displayed in our shop are static, and we need to dynamically fetch them from our database. But before we can do that, we first need to add shop products to our database. So adding shop products is an administrative task, so we'll be doing that inside admin.py. And at the same time, we need to keep track of people who are performing administrative tasks. So for that, we'll be using the customer ID, which is the primary key for our customer table. So if a user is an admin, they can perform administrative tasks. Otherwise, they will be seeing the 404 error page. So the first thing is we need to design a template for the 404 error page. So inside templates, I'm going to create a new file and call it 404.html. So this one is an HTML document. The width will be 500 pixels. Okay, that's it for the 404 error page. You can go back to PyCharm. Before we write the administrative functionality, we need to add an error handler inside our app. So in init.py, I'm going to explain to you what this means in a few. So at app error handler, then the error handler is the 404 error def page not underscore found, and then the error going to return render template 404.html. So what this does is whenever somebody tries accessing a URL or route that does not exist in our Flask application, they are going to get the 404.html page. So I'm going to explain that from here. Let me refresh. So if somebody tries accessing a route like that one, they're going to get the 404 error. So I hope that makes sense. So before we add shop items, we also need a form to add shop items. So in forms.py file, we're going to design the shop items form. So class we need the product name. We also need the current price, data required. So I'll copy this for previous price. Then you also need another field for in stock items. This one is an integer field. And the next field is the product picture. And then this one should be a file. So at the top, we are going to import the file field. So from flask.form.file, we'll import the file field and file required. So file field and validators are file required. You also need a flash underscore sale field. This one is a boolean value. So boolean field. And we need two buttons, one to add the product and another one to update the product. So we have our shop items form. Back to admin.py, we're going to write the route for adding shop items. So we're going to use at admin.route, and then the route is methods are get and post. Now to add shop items, you have to be logged in. So I'm going to import the login required decorator from Flask login at login required. And then you're going to define the function to add shop items. So def add shop underscore items. So at this point, we'll be filtering and checking if the person trying to add shop items is an administrator. We'll be using the customer ID, that is the primary key for the customer table. So for admin, the primary key was 1. So I'll go to auth so that you can confirm that. So inside the profile route, I'm going to print out the ID for the logged in user. So print So I am currently logged in as the admin. So if I go back to the ID and check on the logs, you can see customer ID is 1. So if I log out and log in with another account, that one should change. So this one is Max account, and now if I check on the logs, you can see customer ID is 2. So the ID for the admin is 1. Back to admin, before we add the shop item, we're going to check if the current user ID is equals to 1. So we're going to import current user from Flask login. We'll check if the current user ID is equals to 1. So if current user.id is equals to 1. So if this is true, it means that the user is the administrator. Otherwise, you're going to return the 404 error page. So return render template, and then you also need to import render template. So I'm going to create a form for adding shop items is equals to shop item form. So from forms, we need to import this form, and then we can return the template for adding shop items. And then you're also going to pass the form. So you're going to design this template in VS Code. I'm going to create a new template called add shop items.html. So this one extends base.html and block. So inside our body, are going to create a table to add shop items. So table, and then we need a table head. So table head, and inside the table head we need some rows. So table head. So after the table head, we need the table body. So table body. Then inside the table body, we need a table row. And the table row will be a form to add the shop item. So form, set the method to be post, encryption type, and we'll set this one to be multipart / form data. Now make sure you have this one in your form, otherwise you'll have a lot of trouble trying to save your shop items. Then after that, we need an hidden tag. We need table data. This one will be for the product name. And then the last one is for adding the shop items. That is the button to add shop items. So add underscore. So with that, I think the form is designed. So I'm going to check how the form looks like. Okay, I think this one stopped. So I think there is an issue. So from forms, import shop items form, module not found, named form. So admin from .forms. So I'm going to run this and see. Yeah. So I'm going to check how the form looks like. It was /add shop items. So this is our form. And the reason as to why I can see this is because I am logged in as the admin. So the form is working perfectly for GET requests. And the next thing is we need to capture whatever data is here for post requests. So here we're going to check if it's a post request. So if form dot validate on submit, you're going to get the product name, which will be equals to form dot product name dot data. Then the next one is the current price. The next one is previous price, and in stock. And flash sale. You also need to capture the product picture. So the file will be equals to form dot product picture dot data, and our file name for this file will be equals to secure underscore file name, and then we put file dot file name. So from utils import secure file name. So what this one does is it returns a sanitized version of a file name. That is, it removes white spaces and invalid characters from file names. So if suppose you have a file like smartwatch.jpg, the white space here is going to be replaced by an underscore, and then this one is what is going to be returned by secure file name. So if we have an invalid character like the $sign there, the $sign is going to be replaced by an underscore. So after this, we need to set up the directory where we'll be saving our files. That is, we need to set up our media directory. For that, I'm going to create another directory inside Flask Ecom, and it will be called media. So media, you can see it's inside Flask Ecom. So the file path for our file will be an f string of /media, then / the file name. And then after that, we are going to save this particular file in this directory. So if it's smartwatch, it's going to be /media, and then the file name will be replaced by smartwatch, and then it is going to be saved inside the media directory. So file dot save, and then use this file path. So after that, you can go ahead and create a new product in our database. So we need to import the product table from models. So from dot models import product, and then you can create a new product here. So new underscore shop underscore item will be equals to the product class. So we'll set the product name for the new shop item. So new shop item dot product name equals to the product name. Then the next one is the current price. We set the previous price, and the next one is in stock, and then the next one is flash sale, and the last one is the product picture, the file path. So the product picture is a string of the file path. So for example, if you have the first image as the smartwatch, it's going to be /media /smartwatch. If the second one is a smartphone, it's going to be /media /smartphone, and so on. So after that, we're going to add this product to our database. So try, before we can add, we need to import db from the init file. So from dot import db.session.add, then the new shop item. Then you're going to commit the changes. So db.session.commit, and we are going to tell the admin that the product has been added successfully. So we'll flash, need to import flash at the top. So flash, it's going to be an f string, then product name, added successfully. So what this one is going to do is, if you're adding a shop item like a smartwatch, it's going to be smartwatch. So the product name is replaced by smartwatch and then added successfully. Then you can also print in our console that the item has been added. So then we are going to return render template, and we are going to pass the form as well. So add shop items.html is this one here. And then accept exemption as a, we're going to print the error, and then we'll also flash the item has not been added. So that's it for adding shop items. I'm going to refresh. So initially the media directory is empty. So I'm going to add the first product. The previous price will be 5k. The current price is 3800. In stock will be 14. And then I'll choose a file. I don't want this one to be a flash sale item, so I'm just going to click on add product. So you can see it's added successfully. I'm going to add the second product. And the price for this one is 90. Current price will be 82. In stock will be 56. I'll choose the file. I want this one. So open. I'll click on flash sale and add product. So now if we go back to our media directory, you can see you have two additional images for the two products that we have added. So I'm going to add 4 more products. So I'll pause the video and I'll be back when I have added them. So I have a total of 6 products in the database. So if you go here, and you can see there are 6 products. So the next thing is we need to be able to view these items from the browser. So in admin.py file, I'm going to create another route to view shop items. So at admin.route, then I'll set the methods for this one to be get and post. Then to view shop items, you have to be logged in. So at login required, so def shop underscore items. Then you check if the person trying to access this page is an admin. So if current user.id is equals to 1, they can perform administrative tasks. Otherwise, you're going to return render template 44.html. So here we're going to get all the products in our shop. So the items will be equals to product.query, and then you're going to order by product.date added. So all the products will be returned and they will be ordered by the date in which they were added. Then you want all the products. So after that, you're going to return render template shop underscore items dot html. Then we'll pass the items. So items is equals to items. The next thing is you're going to design this template in VS Code. So VS Code, I'll create new file called shop items.html. So I'm going to copy this and I'll paste it there. In fact, I should have changed this one to add shop items, and here should be shop items. So I'll close the body tag first. So end block. So inside our body, we first need to check if the length of items is greater than 0. That is, if we have any shop items inside our database. So the first thing is an if block. So if items and then that separator. Then you put length is less than 1. So if the length is less than 1, that is, we have nothing in our database. We're going to display an h3 tag. Otherwise, you're going to display the shop items. So else we display the shop items, and we should also end this if block. So end if. So inside the else block, we're going to create a table to display the shop items. So we need a table. Inside the table, we need a table head, and inside the table head, we need a table row. So the first one is table head, and the scope is column, and this one will be the ID, and the last one will be action, that is maybe updating an item or deleting it. So after the table head, we need a table body. So table body, and here we are going to loop over the items. So you can see that we pass items here, which is a list of all the products in our shop. So I'm going to create a for loop. So for item in items, and I'm going to end this for loop. So end for. So inside the for loop, we need a table row, and within the table row, I'll create a table head, and the scope for this one is a row, and the value will be the item ID. And after that, we need to display the product picture. So this one will be table data, and inside here we need an image tag. The source will be the item dot product underscore picture. And then you also need some styling. Then after that, we're going to display if this item is a flash sale item. The last part is we need an action section. So this one will be for updating the item, and this one will be for deleting the item. Shop items.html template is done, and we can visit this URL in our browser now. So go to slash shop items. Yeah, you can see that our products are displayed well, but for the images they are not showing up, which is good for now. Now to solve this, I'm going to right click and click on view page source. I'll scroll to the images. So you can see it's slash media and then slash the name of the file and slash media slash the name of the file. This one is slash media slash screen. So what is changing is the name of the file. So for this, you're going to write another route inside admin.py that will be handling displaying of these media files. So in admin, I'm going to create another route. So at admin.route, then be slash media, because all the URLs inside here are starting with slash media. So slash media, and then the name of the file is what is dynamic, or is what is changing. So phone, watch, and screen. So I'm going to make this one dynamic. I'll put path and then the file name. So this one is going to allow us to pick the file name from the URL. Then I'll define the function that will be executed to get the image. So def get image, and then this one takes the file name. And then after that, we need to return this image from the media directory. So I'll import send from directory, and then I'm going to return send from directory. So currently we are in admin.py, which is this one here. So we need to go back one step to be able to access the media directory. So I'll put 2 dots and then a /, then media, then the name of the file. So the file name. So with this, we can now be able to view the images. So now if I go back to the browser and refresh, you can see the images are displayed perfectly. The next thing is we need to add functionality to update and delete shop items. So back to admin.py, I'm going to create another route to update an item. So at admin.route, and then we'll pick the item ID, so which is an integer. So int item underscore ID, and you set the methods for this one to be get and post. And to update an item, you need to be logged in. So at login required, then you put def update, put the item underscore ID. Then you'll check if this person trying to update the item is an admin. So if current user dot ID is equals to 1, they can perform the administrative task of updating the item. That is, you're going to return render template for4.html. So inside the if block, I'll create the form to update the shop item. So shop items form. And then after that, you're going to return render template update item.html. We'll pass the form as well. So we need to design this template. So I'll copy this and in our templates, I'm going to create a new file and call it updateitem.html. So updateitem.html is the same as additems.html. So I'll copy this and paste it here, but instead of add product, I'll change it to update underscore product. So we can now access updateitem.html from the browser. Let's test it. We first need to link it here. So back to our browser and in shop items, to change this to have a dynamic URL. So item.id. Okay, I'm going to refresh. And now you can click on update item and you're going to get this particular form to update the item. Now for updating the item, we need to populate these fields with a placeholder. So for example, if I click on update item, all these fields should be populated with a placeholder value for the item that I have clicked. So back in PyCharm, I'm going to add placeholder values for the form. So we first need to get the item that we need to update. So the item underscore to update will be equals to product dot query dot get, and then you're going to use the item ID. So after that, you can add placeholder values for the form. So form dot product name dot render keyword will be equals to a dictionary, and the key is placeholder, and the value is the item to update dot product name. So I'm going to copy this. So now if we go back to our browser, I'm going to refresh and click on update item. You can see that these fields have a placeholder value. And now if I click on the smartwatch or the screen, you can see that they also have a placeholder value. So the next thing is we need to be able to capture the data that is in the form for post requests. So back in PyCharm, so if form.validate on submit, we're going to take the product name, product underscore name will be equals to form.product name dot data flash sale dot data. And the last part is we need the image as well. So the file will be equals to form dot product picture dot data, and the file name will be equals to a secure file name of file dot file name, and after that we need the file path. So file underscore path will be equals to an f string of dot slash media, which is this directory, then slash the file name, and then we're going to update the file image in the media directory. So file dot save, and then you provide the file path. So after that, we need to update the database with these records. So a try block, try, then product dot query dot filter by underscore by, the ID will be equals to item ID, and then we need to update this item. So update, and to update this item we need to provide key value pairs. So I'm going to use dictionary, and the product name will be equals to the product name. The current price will be equals to the current price. The previous price will be equals to the previous price. In stock will be equals to in stock, and flash sale will be equals to flash sale. And you also need to update the product picture. So product underscore picture will be equals to the file path. And then after this we need to commit these changes. So db.session.commit, and you can flash that this product has been updated. So, and then you can also print on the console that a product has been updated. So, and after updating a product, we are going to redirect the admin back to the shop items route. So /shop items. Shop items is this route. Redirect. After redirecting, we need to take care of situations where the product is not updated. So except exemption as a, we can print product or item not updated. Then you can pass the error here. You can also flash. So I think we're done with the functionality to update the item. So we are going to test it in the browser. I'm going to refresh and click on update. So this one will be lava v3. The previous price was 5k, so I'll put 6k, and the current price will be 4100. In stock I'll put 17. I also need to change the picture, so I'll put this one to test if it's working, and I'll click on flash sale and update the item. So you can see that this item has been updated. So I'm going to reverse these changes and I'll update. So you can see that it's updated successfully. So the next thing is we need to handle deleting of items. So in PyCharm, we are going to write another route to delete items. So at admin.route, then we need the item ID, and I'll set the methods for this one to be get and post. And to delete an item you have to be logged in, so at login required, and I'll take the item ID, and then I'm going to check if the user is the admin. So if current user.id is equals to 1, they can perform administrative tasks, otherwise I can return render template for 4.html. So I'll put a try block to try and delete this item. So item underscore to delete will be equals to product.query.get, and then you pass the item ID. that we are going to try and delete this item. So db.session.delete, and then pass the item to delete, and we should commit these changes. So db.session.commit, and we are going to flash one item deleted, and after doing that we are going to redirect the shop items page. So slash shop items. So if deleting the item is not successful, so exemption as a, we are going to flash item not deleted, and you can also print item not deleted and the error message here, and you're going to redirect shop items. So the functionality for deleting items is done. So you're going to test it in the browser. Refresh. Now before you can test it, we need to link this anchor tag in VS Code. Then slash item.id. So now if we refresh, and I can click on delete, and you can see that one item has been deleted and it is removed from the table as well. So I'm going to add it again and click on add product. So you can see that it has been added, and if we go to shop items, it is displayed at the bottom because they are ordered by date added. So the next thing is we need to display these products here dynamically. And to do that, we'll go to PyCharm in views. We are going to query all the products in our database. So our items will be equals to the product table. So I need to import product here from models. So from models import product.query filter by, you're going to filter by the products you're going to display here are the products with flash sale set to true. So I'm going to filter by flash underscore sale is equals to true, and then I'm going to pass the items here. So items will be equals to items. So back in VS Code in home.html, you can see that we were displaying our products in a static manner. So I'm going to delete all these divs and leave one product. So I have deleted all the divs, and if I go to shop items and refresh, you can see you have only this one div. So I'm going to display all the products that are flash sale set to true here. So in VS Code, here I'm going to create a for loop to loop over the items in this list. So for item in items, then after that I'm going to end this for loop. So end for, the image will be the product picture, so I'll delete that and put item dot product underscore picture, and the name for the product will be item dot product name, and the next one is the current price, so I'll put item dot current price, and I also need to change this, so this one will be item dot previous price, and the last part is for the items left, so I'll put item dot in stock. So now if I refresh on the browser, you can see you have these products displayed dynamically, and everything reflects as it was set in the database. So I can update the price of this one to maybe 30k. So I'm going to update the price of this one to, the name will be the same, so LG screen, and the previous price was, I'm going to put 35k, and I'll update this one to maybe 25k. In stock I'll put 8, and then I can choose the file as well, and I'll update the item. So now if we go back to the home page, you can see that everything has been updated. The next thing is we should be able to add products to our cart. So for example, if I click on add to cart here, the smartwatch should be added to my cart. And to do that, you're going to go to views.py and create a route to add items to our cart. So at views.route, and then this one is /add -to cart, and then you should also pass the item ID, so an integer of item underscore ID. And to add an item to the cart, you need to be logged in, so we'll import the login required decorator from Flask login. Login required, so at login required, and then we'll define the function to add the item to the cart. This one takes the ID, the item ID as the parameter, and then we are going to get the item that we want to add to the cart from the products table. So item underscore to add will be equals to product dot query dot get, and then you pass the item ID. And also there could be a situation where if I click on add to cart, this item already exists in my cart. So if I click on add to cart the second time, the quantity of this item should be increased in my cart. So I'll also add functionality for that. So item underscore exists will be equals to cart. So I need to import the cart table here. Cart dot query dot filter underscore by. Then you're going to pass the product underscore link as the item ID. customer link as the current user ID. So we also need to import current user. Then we need the first product. So first. So if this item exists, we should only increase the quantity if we click this button the second time. If item exists, we're going to increase the quantity. So item exists dot, we need to put it in a try block. So try item exists dot quantity should be equals to item exists dot quantity plus and assign one plus one, I mean. Then we should commit these changes. So db dot session, we need to import the database. So from dot import db, so db dot session dot commit. And then you can flash that the quantity of this item has been updated. And then you're going to return. So you need to import flash before you return. So flash, you return redirect. So you also need to import redirect. So, and you also need to import request. So return redirect requests dot refer. So what this one is going to do is, if we are currently in the home route and I click on add to cart, this route is going to be executed, that is add to cart, and after it is executed, we are going to be redirected back to the home page. So if an error occurs when updating the item, we are going to print it out. So except exemption as a, we print the error. Then you can also flash some message. Item exists dot product name not updated. And you can also return the request, return redirect, and then request dot refer. So if the item does not exist in the cart, we are going to create an instance of this item in the cart. So outside the if block, we're going to create a new instance. So new underscore cart underscore item will be equals to cart, and then we'll set new cart item dot quantity will be equals to 1. So the default quantity is 1, and we'll also set the product link, so be equals to item to add dot id, that is the ID of the product, and new cart item dot customer link will be the link to the current user. So current user dot id. And then after this, we are going to add this item to the database. So we're going to put a try block. So db dot session dot add, then you put the new cart item, then you commit these changes. So db dot session dot commit, and we can flash that the product has been added to the cart. So new cart item dot product name added to cart. Otherwise, if an error occurs when trying to add this item to the cart, so except exemption as E, we are going to print this error, and you can also flash. Then after that, you can return redirect request.refer. So we are done with the functionality for adding the item to the cart. So the next thing is you're going to link this route in the front end. So in VS Code, in our home.html, in this anchor tag, I'm going to paste this link and put slash. So item.id. So now if I go to the browser and refresh, so the site cannot be reached. I think we are going to restart the server again. Okay, there is an issue here. So we should have a closing angle brackets here. So I'll restart the server. And if we refresh, now if I click on add to cart, you can see that the item has been added to the cart. So I'll also add this one to the cart. So the next thing is we need to display the number of items in our cart here. So in PyCharm, I'm going to pass the total number of items in our cart in the return statement. So our cart will be equals to cart.query.filter by. Then I'm going to filter where the customer underscore link is equals to the current user dot ID. Then I want all the items in this particular customer's cart, so I'll put all, and after that I'll put an if condition to make sure that the current user is authenticated. So if else, we are going to pass an empty list. So back in VS Code, in base.html, this is the anchor tag that displays the cart items. So I'm going to copy this and duplicate it. And for this, I'm going to go to Bootstrap and get an icon to display the total number of cart items. So Bootstrap icons. I'm going to take this one, and you can see that there is a value here. So you're going to make this value dynamic depending on the total number of cart items. So I'll copy this, and in our base, I'll change this part to be this particular anchor tag from Bootstrap. Now make sure you have this link for Bootstrap icons within your base.html. So here I'm going to put an if condition to display these anchor tags. So if the total number of cart items is 0, I'm going to display the first anchor tag. Otherwise, I'm going to display the second anchor tag. So here I'll put an if condition. So if cart length is less than 1, that is the length of the cart items is 0, you're going to display this. Otherwise, you're going to display this other anchor tag. So else you display this anchor tag, and then I'm going to end our if statement. So end if. So the next thing is we need to make this value dynamic. So I'll delete the for there, and let me first show you how it looks like now. So if we go to the browser and refresh, you can see we have the value of 4 here. But we need this value to be dynamic. That is, it should be the total number of items in our cart. So back in VS Code, I'll change this for and put a dynamic value. So cart, then the length of the items in the cart. So now if I refresh, you see you have 2 items in our cart. The next thing is we should be able to view our cart if we click this link. So we are going to add another route in views to display the cart items. Then this one is /cart, and then to view the cart you have to be logged in. So at login required, then you're going to define the function to show cart, and the cart will be equals to cart.query .filter by, then you're filtering where the customer underscore link is equals to the current user.id. So current user.id, then we need all the items. And for this, you also need to pass the cost of the items in our cart. So the amount will be equals to 0, and then create a for loop to loop over the cart. So for item in cart, we're going to put amount plus and assign item dot product dot current price, and then you're going to multiply by the quantity. So item dot quantity, and you're going to return render template cart.html, and we'll pass the cart as well. Cart will be equals to cart, and the amount will be equals to the amount, and the last thing is total will be equals to amount plus 200. Now the total refers to the total cost of the products and a flat rate shipping fee of 200 shillings. So we are going to design cart.html in our templates. So I'll copy this, and in VS Code I'm going to create a new template called cart.html. So for cart, so I'll paste that part and change this one to cart. Then I'm going to end the body. So inside our body I'm going to create a div, and the next thing is we're going to put an if condition to check if there are items in our cart. Then I'm going to end this if block, and if. So if there are items in our cart, you're going to display them. Otherwise, we're going to put an h1 tag and tell the user that your cart is empty, and we need some styling for this. So if there are items in our cart, we are going to display them. So inside the cart body, I'm going to loop over the items in our cart. So I'll create a for loop. So for item in cart, and before anything, I'm going to end this for loop. And so for item in cart, we need a row to display the item. So the next thing is we are going to create another div. So dot call hyphen the same hyphen 9. So after this div, I'm going to create another div to display the current price of the item. So the hyphen flex. So after the row div, we need an horizontal line. So I'll put an horizontal line there. And then after this div, we're going to design another div to display the total price of items in our cart. So the class for this one is call hyphen. So this is the list item tag. You can see displaying the product name, the product current price, and the quantity of that particular product. Then after that, we also need another list item tag to display the amount excluding the shipping. So this is the one that displays the total amount excluding the shipping. You can see you have amount and it is in shillings, and we have an ID for the amount and the amount. This is the amount that is passed in the backend. And the next thing is we need another list item tag to display the total amount, that is including the shipping. So this is what displays the total amount including the shipping. This is the design, and you can see it's the total amount which is passed in the backend. Yeah. So after this list, we need a div to allow us to place orders. So we need to change this to btn. So I think you're done with designing the cart.html template. We can go ahead to base and link it. So this is the link for cart.html. I'm going to link it here and here as well. So now if we refresh, I'm going to click on cart, and you can see you have these two items in our cart. We need to be able to increase or reduce the quantity of our product in our cart without refreshing the page. And the same thing should also happen for removing the product from the cart. For that, you're going to be using JavaScript. So in VS Code, in our JavaScript directory, I'm going to create a new file called myscript.js. And then I'm going to include it in base.html. So myscript.js. So we'll be using the class for this particular button to add a click event listener. So in VS Code, I'm going to copy the class of this button, and then I write a function for click event listeners. And then on click, you're going to execute a function. So function, for now you can console.log button clicked. So if we go back to our browser and refresh, then right click, inspect under console. If I click on the button, you'll see button clicked, but the page is refreshing. So in VS Code, I'm going to remove this href element, and I'll also remove for minus cut button. So now if I refresh and click on the button, see button clicked. So we are interested in getting the ID of this button, that is the product ID of this particular item in our cart. So for that, I'm going to add another attribute within our plus cart anchor tag, and it is called PID, and the value of this one will be equals to the item ID. So item.id. So in our JavaScript file, you can capture the value of the item ID, which will be equals to and this. Then you get the attribute of the product ID. Then you want it to be a string, so to string. So this refers to the anchor tag, which is the whole of this thing. And then you want to get the attribute with the product ID. So after that, you can console.log the value of the ID. So if I refresh and click on the button, you can see button clicked, and then the value of the ID is 1. And I click on the second one, you see button clicked and the ID is 2. So we need to pass the value of this ID to the backend, and for that we'll be using an Ajax request. So instead of printing out the value of the ID, I'm going to write an Ajax function, and then the type of this one is a get request, and the URL, and then you also need to send some data, which is the value of the ID. So our data will be equals to a dictionary, and the key is cat ID. The value is the ID. So now in the backend, we need to design this route. So in views.py, I'm going to create another route called plus cat. So at views.route, then plus cat, and then to increase the quantity of a product in your cart, you have to be logged in. So at login required, and then the function is plus underscore cat, and then if requests dot method is equals to get, you're going to get the value of the cat ID. Remember, in our JavaScript file, we set the method to be get. So our cat underscore ID will be equals to request dot args, and then we want to get the cat ID. The cat ID is the key for this value, for the data sent. So we can print out the value of the cat ID, and then for each Ajax request, you need to send back a response. So our response will be a JSON object, so you need to import JSONify at the top. So I'll create a dictionary equals to data, then the key is response, and the value will be maybe backend response. So you're going to return a JSON object, so return JSONify, and then you pass the data. So in JavaScript, in our JavaScript file, we need to be able to receive that data sent from the backend. So after data, you're going to write a success function. So success, and then a function. So this function takes in data which is sent from the backend. Then you can console.log the data. So now if we go back to our browser and refresh, so the server is down. I'm going to start it. So if we go back to our browser and refresh and click on this button, you can see button clicked, and we also get a response which is backend response. If I click on the second button, you see button clicked and backend response. So in PyCharm, if we go to our logs, you can see the value of cat ID 1 and the value of cat ID 2. So we have been able to make the communication between the front end and back end without refreshing the page. Now the goal of this one is to increase the quantity of this particular item in our cart. It's not just to print out the value of the cart ID. So instead of printing out the value of the cart ID, you are going to query the database to get this particular cart item. So our cart underscore item will be equals to the cart table dot query dot get, and then you pass the cart ID. Then the cart item dot quantity will be equals to cart item dot quantity, then increase by 1. And then you also need to commit these changes to our database. So db.session.commit. And after that, after committing those changes, we need to update the new quantity of the product. You also need to update the cost of the items in our cart and the total cost, including the shipping fee. So you're going to query the cart for this particular customer. So cart.query, and then you're going to filter by where the customer underscore link is equals to current user.id. And then you want all the items. So initially the amount is 0. So for item in cart, you're going to put amount plus and assign item dot product dot current price, and then you're going to multiply by the quantity. So now instead of sending this response, we are going to send the updated values for the cart. So the quantity, so the new quantity will be equals to cart item dot quantity. The amount will be equals to the amount, and lastly the total, that is including the shipping fee, will be equals to amount plus a flat rate of 200 shillings. So after sending this response to our front end, we need to update those values using JavaScript. So in VS Code, the first thing is you're going to get the quantity. So our quantity will be equals to this dot parent node dot children, and then you want the child at index 2. This refers to the whole of this anchor tag, and then the parent node is this div, and the next thing is we want the child at index 2. So this one is the child at index 0, the child at index 1, and the quantity is the child at index 2. So on success, instead of logging out the data, we are going to update the quantity. So just going to put quantity dot inner text will be equals to data dot quantity. We also need to update the quantity on the right side, that is this value here. So for that we need these values to be dynamic, because this one is for the first cart item and this is the quantity for the second cart item. We are going to add the ID for these values. So this is where we are displaying the quantity under the cart summary section. So we need an ID for that, for this value. So the ID will be equals to quantity. And then I'm also going to pass the item ID because we want these values to be dynamic for different cart items. So item.id. So after that, I'm going to update the values in our JavaScript file. So you're going to use the ID to get the quantity under the cart summary section. So I'm going to use document.getElement by ID. And then I'll pass quantity and then the ID of this particular item. Now notice here that I'm using backticks, not single quotes, because I need this value to be dynamic. So I'll use quantity and then a $sign. Then I'll pass the ID and I'm going to set the inner text. So inner text to be data.quantity. I also need to update the amount and the total amount. So document.getElement by ID. Then the ID for this is the ID for the amount. So I'll copy that and paste it there. That inner text be equals to data.amount. And the last part is we need to update the total amount including the shipping fee. The ID for this is total amount and set the inner text to be data.total. So you're done with this function. Now if we go back to our browser and refresh, we can increase the quantity of this particular product by clicking this, and the values are updated respectively. You can see this one is 2. If I update again, you can see it becomes 3, and everything is updated respectively. So we need to do that for decreasing the quantity of the product. For reducing the quantity of the product in the cart, the functionality is the same. The only thing is we are going to reverse the logic. Instead of increasing the quantity, we'll be reducing. So in VS Code, first thing is you add the product ID within the anchor tag. So the PID will be equals to the item ID. And then we'll use this class for minus cart. So I'll copy all this and then I'll paste it for minus cart. The class for minus cart is this one. So I'll copy and change this one from plus cart to minus cart. And then you also change the target URL. This one is minus cart. So you're going to design this in the backend. So in PyCharm, I'll copy this as well. Then I'll paste it. This one is minus cart and the function is minus cart. So instead of increasing, we'll be reducing. So you're done with that one. Now if I refresh on the browser, I can reduce the quantity from 3 to 2 and everything updates respectively. You can also increase this one and the updates you can increase and reduce it. The next thing is removing the product from the cart. So instead of increasing the quantity, we'll be deleting this particular item from the cart. So the functionality is also the same, but we are going to change some few things. So for removing the cart, we need to get the class for that button, which is this one. And in our JavaScript file, we're going to design the function for that. And you also need the ID of this particular item. It should be equals to. And the next thing is we need to remove this, the whole of this div from the front end when we click on the remove button. So I'm going to put to underscore remove be equals to this dot parent node, and then dot parent node again, parent node dot parent node. So this refers to this particular anchor tag, and then the parent node is this one, and then the parent node, the second parent node refers to this div, and the third parent node is this one, and then the fourth parent node is this one, which refers to the whole of this div. So before you can go ahead and remove this, we need to add the product ID. PID will be equals to the item dot ID. And then you're going to write the Ajax function for removing the node, for removing that particular div and sending that information to the backend. So after that, you're going to design the function to remove this particular item from the cart in the backend. And then the route is remove cart if request dot method is equals to get. We need to get the cart ID, so the cart underscore ID will be equals to request dot args, and then get the cart ID. So the cart underscore item will be equals to cart dot query dot get, and then we'll be passing the cart ID, and we need to delete this cart item. So db dot session dot delete cart item, and we need to commit these changes. So db dot session dot commit, and after that we need to update the new values of the new value of the amount and the total amount. So the functionality is the same as this one. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. And you also need to return a JSON response. So return JSONify, then you pass the data. So in the front end, we need to update the new values of the amount and the total amount. So we are going to write the success function. So success, you write the function, and then you're going to update the value of the amount and the total amount. And after that, we need to remove this div because it has been deleted from the database. So to remove remove. So after that, I can go to our browser and refresh. And if I click on remove, you see that item is removed from our cart. And I can also remove this one as well. And you see that your cart is empty. The next part is placing orders. And for that, we'll be using the Intersend payment gateway. Now for developers, you don't have to create an account to use the payment gateway. That is the test environment. So in your browser, go to Intersend API and click on the first link. And after that, you'll see sandbox/test environment. And then you can click on get your API test key. So then get your test API keys. And then this is the publishable key. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to create a new variable called API underscore publishable key. And then this one will be equals to the value that you have copied. And then the next one is the API token. So I'm going to generate it and copy it. So API underscore token will be equals to the token. Now before you go ahead and use it in our app, I'm going to test it so that you can see a sample response from the API. So I'm going to create a new Python file and call it test. One more thing before you can use the Intersect payment gateway, you need to install the Intersect Python package. So inside your virtual environment, type pip install Intersect -python. So after installing it, you can import it. So from Intersect, import API service, and the next thing is we need these keys. So I'm going to copy them and paste them here, and I'm going to create a service. So our service will be equals to API service, and the token will be equals to our API token. The publishable key will be equals to our API publishable key, and we'll set test to be true. The next thing is you're going to create an order. So create underscore order will be equals to service dot collect dot emphasize the key push. Now this one might not work for some of you, so you might opt for card payments. Now this one expects a phone number field, so, and it also expects an email field, so, and the amount will be 100 shillings, and the last part is we need a narrative which will be equals to purchase of items, and then we are going to get a response. So I'm going to print out the value of create order, and I'm going to run test. So this is our response. You can see you have the ID for the order, you have the invoice ID, you have the state which is pending, you have the provider, the net amount, currency, the amount which is 100 shillings, and we also have the phone number here. So our API is working perfectly. So I'm going to close this, and back in views.py, we are going to design the route for creating orders. So at views.route, the first thing is you're going to fetch the customer cart. So our customer cart will be equals to cart.query dot filter by customer underscore link equals to current user.id, and then if there is something in the customer cart, we're going to go ahead and loop over the cart and get the total amount of all the products in the cart. So the total will be initially 0. So for item in customer cart, the total will be equals to item dot product dot current price times item dot quantity. Then after that, we are going to use our payment gateway to create this particular order. So we need to import Intersect API service. So from Intersect import API service. So our service will be equals to API service. Then you're going to pass the token as the API token, the publishable key, and tests will be equals to true. Then we need a create underscore order underscore response will be equals to service.collect M-Pesa SDK push, and then the phone number will be equals to, so I'm going to put my phone number here. Now for this, you'd want it to be dynamic so that you can be fetching these values from a database for different kind of customers. And then you also need an email field, so our email will be dynamic, so it will be current user.email. The amount will be equals to the total, which is this one, plus a flat rate shipping fee of 200 shillings. And the last thing is we need a narrative, which will be purchase, maybe purchase of goods. And then after that, we need to add this particular product in our order table. So for item in customer cart, we're going to create a new order, and the new order dot quantity will be equals to item dot quantity. New order dot price will be equals to item dot product dot current price. New order dot status will be equals to create order response, and then we want the response from our API. So within our response we have invoice. So this invoice, so it's a dictionary. This is the first key and then this is the second key. So I'm going to copy it and put it here. And then we want the status, which is the state. So inside invoice we have another key called the state. So I'm going to copy the state and put it here. And then the state is pending. So I only want to capitalize the first character. So I'm going to transform it using capitalize. And then the next thing is we need the payment ID. So new order dot payment ID will be equals to create order response, and we'll use this as our payment ID. So I'll copy that and I'll paste it there. So after that we need to link the product. So new order dot product link be equals to item dot product underscore link, and you also need to link the customer. And then after that we need to add this item to our database. So db dot session dot add new order, and after adding this particular cart item to our order database, we need to reduce the quantity of this particular item in our database, that is the in stock value. So the product will be equals to product.query.get, and then you're going to pass the item.product link, and then the product.instock will be equals to, that is minus and assign the item.quantity. Then after that we need to delete this particular item from the cart of this customer. So db.session.delete, then you're going to pass the item, and after that we are going to commit all these changes. So db.session.commit, and then you can flash the order has been placed successfully. So, and we are going to return order placed. Now we need to put this one inside a try block. So I'm going to put a try block after the if statement. So try And then I'm going to indent all this. So if the order is not placed, so except exemption as A, I'm going to print the error, and then you can also flash order not placed, and we return redirect the home page. Otherwise, if there is no cut, we're going to flash and return redirect. So we are done with the functionality for placing orders. So we are going to test it in our browser, but before you can do that, we need to link this URL. We need to link this route in our front end. So I'll copy this, and in our cart template, in the place order button, which is this one, I'm going to change this to place order. So we can restart our server. We are going to run main.py. First refresh, then you're going to click on place order. You can see that the order has been placed. So the next thing is you're going to design the template to display the orders. So in views.py, we're going to write the route to display all the orders for a customer. So at views.route, and then this one will be orders, so slash orders. Then at login required, then the function. Our orders will be equals to order dot query dot filter underscore by, then you pass the customer link equals to current user dot id. Then you're going to return render template orders.html, and we'll pass the orders as well. So orders will be equals to orders. So we'll design this template in VS Code. I'll create a new file called orders.html. So this is our template for displaying the orders. So you can see the first part is a div, and then you have a row to display the orders. And then here we are checking if there are orders. Otherwise, you're going to tell the customer that they have no orders. So if there are orders, we create another div. You have an orders h1 tag, and inside this, we create a column and a card, and inside the card, you have the card body. And in the card body, you are looping over all the items in the orders, and we are displaying them here. So the first part is the product picture, and we also display the product name and the quantity and the price, and we also display the status. And on the status part, we are also filtering the order status. If the status is pending, you're going to display a progress bar with a width of 20%. It is accepted, the width is 40%. If it is out for delivery, the width is 70%. And if it is delivered, the width is 100%. If it is cancelled, 100%. Now we also use different classes for this, for different kind of colors for the status. I'm going to link this orders template in our base.html. So in our browser, you can see this part, we have the orders section. So I'm going to link this in VS Code so that you can be able to see the orders. So for orders, I'll change this to /orders. So now if we go to orders, you can see the orders are displayed here. But then it seems that only one product was added to our order table. Let's check the logic for adding to order table. So we loop over the items, and then okay, the issue is here. We are returning after looping once, so we need to move this. We need to unindent this. So now if we go back to our browser and refresh, and then go to cart and click on place order, you see order placed. Now for this part, we need to redirect the user to the orders route. So in PyCharm, instead of returning order placed, you're going to return redirect and then /orders. So now going to our browser and you're going to add another item to our cart. So I'm going to add this one. Let's see, then I'll click on cart and I'm going to place order. So you are redirected to the orders table, and you can see that all the placed orders are displayed here. The next part is we need an admin route to change the order status. So in PyCharm, in admin.py, we are going to create another route to view orders. So our route will be at admin if current user.id is equals to 1, our orders will be equals to order. We need to import the order table at the top. So order equals to order.all, and then after that you are going to return render template view orders, and we'll pass all the orders. Otherwise you're going to return render template for 4.html. So we need to design this template in VS Code. So I'll copy it, and in VS Code I'm going to create a new template and it will be called view orders. So, and I'll paste it here, and instead of cart it will be view orders. And in our body, I should first end the block for the body. So inside our body we need a table to display all the orders. We need a table head, so table head, and inside the table head we need a table row. So after the table head we need a table body. So inside the table body you are going to loop over all the orders. So I'll create a for loop for order in orders, and I'm going to end this for loop. And inside the for loop we are going to need a table row for each order, and the table data. The first part is the order ID, so order.id. I'm going to leave that as that for now. Then put update status. If I go back to the browser and refresh, I can access the view orders template from here. So view -orders, and you can see the orders are displayed here, and the quantity is also displayed for the particular order. So we need to design the route to update the status. Now before you can update the order, we need to go to forms.py and create an order form. So class order form, this one extends Flask form, and the order status is what we are interested in. So the order underscore status will be equals to a select field. So select field, you need to import select field at the top. Select field, and the label is order status. And you also need the choices for this. The choices are a list, and within the list we need a tuple. The first one is pending, and we put pending. The second one is another tuple. This one is accepted and accepted. The next one is out for delivery, and then out for delivery. And the second last one is delivered, so delivered. And the last one will be cancelled, then cancelled. So after that we need a submit button. So back to admin.py file, we're going to create the route to update the status. So at admin, and then we need the order ID, so an integer of order ID. And then we also set the methods to be a list of get and post, and then we put at login required, and then the function. And within the function we take an argument of the order ID. We check if the user is the admin. If the user is the admin, they can go ahead and perform administrative tasks. So our form will be equals to the order form. So order form, then you're going to return render template order update .html. And then you'll also pass the form. So our form will be equals to form. So you need to design this template. I'm going to create a new template. So I'll copy this part and paste it here. This one should be view orders. And then you're going to end the body block. So in the body we need a table, and within the table we need a table head. So table head, and then a table row, a table head. After the table head we need a table body, so table body, and we need a table row, and within the table row we'll be having a form, and I'm going to set the method as posts, and I'll also set the encryption part to be multi-form form data. And after that I need a table data for the order status, and we need the submit button. So you're done with this form. Now if I go to my browser I can visit this route, but before that we need to link this route in our front end in VS Code. So under view orders, instead of that tag I'm going to put update status and then /order.id. So now I can refresh, and if I click on update status, you see you get this particular form, and you have a drop down for different kind of statuses. So for post requests, if form.validate on submit, you're going to pick the order status. So our status will be equals to form.data.form.status order status dot data, and then we need to update the order status for this particular order. So before that we need our order. So our order will be equals to order dot, then you're getting the order ID. And then after that, you're going to set the order status. So order.status will be equals to the status. And we are going to commit these changes. So a try block, then db.session.commit, and then you can flash, and then after that you can return redirect view orders. So if an error occurs, so exemption as a, you're going to print error, and you can flash redirect / view orders. So I think you're done with this one. We'll test it in our browser. I'm going to refresh, then click on update status. I'm going to put this on to out for delivery, then update status. You see order 2 updated successfully, and we are redirected back to the view orders route. I'm going to update the last one as well to cancelled, and then I'll update status. So now if we go to our account and then orders, you can see that the order status for this one has been updated and this one is not showing up. So in VS Code under orders, we need to do some updates. So out for delivery, this one is case sensitive, and if I refresh, you can see it now shows up. So we are done with most of the functionality. What is remaining is putting all these administrative tasks into one page. So we are going to design a route for that. And before you can do that, we're going to design the route for displaying all the customers in our shop. So at admin.route, and then this one is the customers route. So /customers. Otherwise, you're going to return render template for 4.html. So you need to design the template for displaying the customers. I'm going to copy this part, and instead of orders, I'm going to put customers, and inside the body block, I'm going to have a table. You can go to customers. You can see you have 2 customers in our shop. So the last part is you're going to design the route for the admin so that you can put all the administrative tasks under one page. So at admin.route, then this one will be /admin. We're going to return render template admin.html, and otherwise you return render template for 4.html. So we are going to design this in VS Code. So this is the admin template. You can see we have /customer. You can also view shop items. You can also add items to the shop, and they can also view orders. And I'll go to admin page, and you can click that to view the customers. You can click that to view the shop items. You can click that to add shop items, and you can also view orders from here. So the last thing is I'm going to open another browser window and log in as a normal user. Next part is the search functionality. So in views.py, you're going to create the route for searching items. So at views.route, The function is search, and if requests dot method is equals to post, you are going to get the search query. The search query will be equals to request dot get, and then get the search, and after that the items that match the search query will be equals to product dot query dot filter by product dot product name I like, and then we put an f string that will be matching the search query. So our f string will be equals to 2%, and then inside you put the search query. So anything that has the search query from the beginning or at the end, and then we want all the items, so I'll put all there, and then you're going to return render template search.html, and you also need to pass the items. So our items will be equals to items, and you also need to pass the cut. So our cut will be equals to this functionality in our home page. So I'll copy it, and after items I'll paste it. Otherwise we are going to return render template search.html. So we need to design this template. I'll copy this and I'll end the block. So in the body we need an if statement to check if there are any items that match the search query. So inside the else block we are going to display all the search items that match the search query. So in home we have this part that we are dynamically displaying our products. So we are going to copy this div up to that position, and in search you are going to put it there, and then back in base.html in our search form the action is set to search and the method is post. So post. So now if we go back to our browser we can search for a smartwatch. So I'll put SM and click on search. So we get some type error, filter by takes on positional argument but 2 are given. Okay, back in our search route we're going to change this to filter, and go back, then search for a smartwatch. So we get this product, but we need to change this. So in our search.html template we're going to change this text to search. So I'll search for audio and get this audio system. And if you search for a product that does not exist, you get no items match your search query. So we are done with the search functionality. About and contact us are not so important for now. The cart is done, and wishlist. So wishlist is the same as cart. The only thing is you have to create another table for storing the wishlist items, and within your HTML templates you are going to add a button for adding an item to the wish list. So if somebody clicks on the wish list button, it is added. If somebody clicks on it again, it is removed. So I'm going to leave it so that you guys can try doing that. And account profile is done, orders is done, and logout is done. So localhost 5000, and then here I'm going to log in and create a new account. So Lucy at Gmail login. So from here, if I try accessing the admin page, I get a 404 error because Lucy is not an admin. But in my other window, I can access the admin page. Can view the customers and you see Lucy at the bottom. So I'm going to add some products to this cart, and I'm going to add this one, and in the cart I'm going to increase the quantity, and I can also reduce. So I'm going to click on place order. You can see order placed successfully, and on the right you can also see that I get an STK push asking me to pay Kenya shillings 19,199 for this particular product. So now if I go back to the admin route and click on view orders, the admin page, you can see at the bottom you have an order from Lucy, and I can update the status from pending to out for delivery and click on update status. So if you go to Lucy's window and refresh, you can see it's out for delivery. So I think you're done, guys, and it's been a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.